Guys, welcome back to Second Take. I'm Vishwa Salem, and today I'm joined by Soph to discuss Andrew Wiggins, another disappointing player, in addition to our previous video when we discussed Lauri Markkanen. And Andrew Wiggins was seen as many to become the next big thing, the next superstar, and many compared him to LeBron James as he was so hyped up coming out of college. Unfortunately, this was not the case due to many reasons that we're going to discuss going on. Before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you for all the support you guys have shown. I'm really liking the views you guys have been piling on, and I hope this can keep up, and we'll get straight into the video. To begin with, we'll first be discussing Andrew Wiggins and the hype he had coming out of high school and college and how this could translate to the NBA. And we're also going to talk about why he was such a huge disappointment in the league. And later on in the video, we're going to discuss how he's going to fit in with the Golden State Warriors, especially with the Splash Brothers, Draymond Green, and all these other talented guys coming back into the rotation as well. And we'll get started on his hype from high school first. During Andrew Wiggins' high school tenure in Canada, Wiggins averaged a stellar 23-10 in his senior year, and this caused so many scouts to presume his overall skill set and his overall play and compare him to modern-day superstars such as Blake Griffin, Tracy McGrady, and LeBron James for their overall athleticism and unique style of play, as well as Kevin Durant for the length that he had, and so many other superstars as well. The only flaw that many scouts saw in his game was his ball handling, which could easily be patched up with good coaching, and they could help refine his technique. And after his senior year, he would end up transferring to Kansas for college, and there he would end up averaging 17 points per game. And once again, many scouts were impressed. Wiggins was a lock for the number one pick, and this also kind of made him similar to guys like Kyrie Irving and D Rose. As you guys can see, many people thought that he was going to be much better than them as well due to his once-in-a-generation type of play, and the Cavs took a shot at him in drafting him, and they traded him to the Timberwolves as a part of the Kevin Love trade. And this pretty much meant that the Wolves were going all in on Wiggins as their franchise player, in addition to Karl-Anthony Towns, who they would end up drafting later. And this would kind of shape a future cornerstone for a nice, young, bright team that could be really great in the future. When transitioning to his NBA career with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Andrew Wiggins did not disappoint anybody with a stellar performance in his first 2 years in the league, winning Rookie of the Year in his first year, averaging 17 points and 4 rebounds as well. And this sparked many people to think that he was going to be the next superstar once again, as he showed so many flashes of his flashy dunks, as well as his post work, his great footwork, great technique, as well as his great use of the mid-range jump shot. And ultimately, this led to many believing, include the Timberwolves, believing that he was going to be the next big thing, along with Karl-Anthony Towns, who they drafted the year after. Andrew Wiggins was really happy about, and many people thinking about him like this, and this thus led to the huge contract that the Timberwolves would end up paying him as well. The contract Andrew Wiggins would end up receiving featured a massive 5-year, $147 million deal, which means that he pretty much earned $27 million a year, about that much. And this was huge for Andrew Wiggins, especially as a young guy nearly heading into his prime. And the Timberwolves were pretty much going all in on him to lead the franchise and build a nice supporting cast around him to preferably go for a deep playoff run in the future as well. Andrew Wiggins, however, had different plans, and ones featuring his own motives rather than the sake of his team and the team's goals instead. Wiggins would end up having a huge decrease in his play. Every part of his game was deteriorating. He had terrible efficiency in all ends of the floor, defense and offense. His shooting percentages decreased by a lot. He was only averaging 17 points per game from 23 the previous year, a terrible 64% from the free throw line, and a 31% from three-point range as well. All these averages were also really bad for Wiggins and the team's view of him, and many people were starting to have several questions about him as well. The Timberwolves organization was trying to do their best to help Wiggins live up to the potential and the hype that many saw he would become. Unfortunately, after this massive contract Wiggins had received, he did not have these types of plans that the organization did. The Timberwolves front office had tried so many methods to help motivate Wiggins, such as provide a great supporting cast. As I mentioned earlier, another top pick, Karl-Anthony Towns, was selected the year after Wiggins. They also had veterans like Taj Gibson, Gorgui Dieng, as well as other guys like Ricky Rubio, a terrific playmaker, Jeff Teague, another great veteran, guys like Robert Covington, young guys like Josh Okogie, and several more guys. I could go on and on. The organization was trying their best for Wiggins to have a great supporting cast, for not only himself to succeed and take pressure off of him, but also the team to do better in the regular season overall as well. Unfortunately, injuries were also not the case for Wiggins' terrible play, as Wiggins barely got injured throughout his career as well, which leaves the final option for why Wiggins' terrible play existed, and that is his overall attitude and lack of competitiveness. This can be seen in so many situations where Wiggins, it seems like he just did not want to win. He didn't want anything at all. The biggest example of this being portrayed really well was when the Timberwolves were trying to go all in to make the playoffs and perhaps go on a deep run and trade for Jimmy Butler to the Chicago Bulls. The Timberwolves were sending Zach LaVine and a top draft pick, Lauri Markkanen, and a great defensive point guard in Chris Dunn to get Jimmy Butler, a really great superstar as we've seen in the Miami Heat. He's been carrying the Heat, becoming a terrific player, and Jimmy Butler is exactly what the Timberwolves needed, as wherever he's gone, Butler has always turned his team into a playoff contender. That's precisely what he did with the Timberwolves. Unfortunately, Jimmy Butler did not achieve what he'd wanted to, as the Timberwolves did end up being the 8th seed in the playoffs. However, they would end up getting knocked out pretty early in the playoffs, and Jimmy Butler was not happy because of this. Jimmy Butler repeatedly confronted Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns, primarily Wiggins, about his lack of competitiveness, lack of work ethic. He even said Wiggins is probably the most talented and most gifted player on the team, but in terms of hard work and competitiveness and desire to win, he said only himself on the team had the desire to win. In many news reports, Jimmy Butler was seen defeating the starters in a practice scrimmage game while playing with third stringers, and this kind of showed how trash Wiggins was, as well as the other guys that Butler had called out for their lack of competitiveness. And this is the primary reason why Wiggins was such a terrible player and why many people were calling him a bust at this time. And it was just his lack of desire to win, his lack of competitiveness, his lack of willingness to get better, along with so many other reasons, which are not caused by injuries or lack of good supporting cast, as we've seen throughout his career. This ultimately led to Jimmy Butler leaving the Minnesota Timberwolves and getting traded to the 76ers, where he would end up joining the Heat a year later. And look where Jimmy Butler is right now. He's with guys that want to win, that have the desire to get better as well. And Andrew Wiggins was also ended up being traded by the Timberwolves. They gave up on him, and you can't really blame them. They ended up trading Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell, and now they have their chance to become a much better team because Russell can perhaps get some better chemistry with their squad in Karl-Anthony Towns. And let's talk about Wiggins now, because that's where he is right now with the Warriors. The Warriors were probably looking for a small forward, as they did trade for Wiggins. They've reportedly said that they do not want to trade Wiggins at all, as many people thought they would. And Many people actually think the Warriors actually have a chance to be a really top title contending team, and Wiggins is actually part of their plans, as they can have a deadly lineup of Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and perhaps James Wiseman at the 5. Although many people would disagree, in my opinion, I feel like Andrew Wiggins would actually get some minor success with the Warriors, unlike he did with the Timberwolves. First of all, if you look at Wiggins, the chemistry is going to be really hard to get with Curry and Klay, as there is a certain style of play that they would want him to play like. But if you look at Kevin Durant, and first of all, before you guys say anything, I'm not comparing Wiggins to KD. I'm saying how Wiggins could be implemented by the Warriors in a similar way. But if Wiggins is used properly by the Warriors, and if he can mend his style of play to fit with the Splash Brothers, I feel like the opportunities he can have, not only scoring the ball, but also becoming a better team player. He can get some opportunities in the post, kick it out to the open shooters like Curry and Klay, as well as maybe ISO now sometimes and then. And also, I definitely feel like if he can improve his defense, this could be really deadly for the Warriors as well. Another reason I feel like Wiggins can get some minor success is because of the work ethic he's been showing this offseason. As you guys can see, Steve Kerr has lauded Wiggins in his style of play and his work ethic. He's been in the gym every day for constant hours, something constantly questioned about him by Jimmy Butler and others about his willingness to get better and the desire to win. And since Wiggins is showing this could mean that he could turn out to be a whole different new player. Not saying he could be a superstar, but at least he could be an above average starting player as well. To me, there are many ways the Warriors could use Wiggins, such as, like I said before, blending his style of play with Curry and Klay, as well as Draymond, and perhaps a lottery pick as well. They might be willing to trade that, but we're not going to use any hypotheticals. But in my opinion, there's also other ways the Warriors can use Wiggins, such as leading him with the second unit off the bench, as well as, having him facilitate the offense, create plays for others. He's done that a little bit before. He's not the best at it. And he could also improve his play by becoming more efficient. He released a workout tape of him on Instagram of him doing some serious ball handling skills, which could be really necessary for his style of play, especially with the Warriors. Steve Kerr's going to have a great time, in my opinion, with him. I do see how he could be a worse player than he was with Minnesota due to his lack of touches on the offensive end as well. But in my opinion, if Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are already there as primary ball handlers, Wiggins is probably going to have a slightly smaller role, but he's still going to have a greater impact than he did with the Timberwolves. First of all, there are many things that I feel like Wiggins could do to improve the Warriors and himself as well. There could be a lot of things that Wiggins could do, such as stop settling for long two-pointers or contested shots, actually drive and attack the rim in terms of scoring, as well as get some open three-pointers. Stop shooting that many mid-range jump shots. It was never that good of a shot that the Warriors preferred, except when they had Kevin Durant. In addition to that, I feel like if Wiggins once again can be a more selfless player, it could really be helpful for the Warriors and in their motives of being a championship team. If Wiggins can pass the ball much more, ball movement always succeeds all the time, as well as get some more efficient defense and have more competitiveness, this could be really dangerous for the Warriors. And like I said before, if Wiggins is in the starting lineup, they could take Curry and Klay out early, or take Wiggins out early and then perhaps plug him in with the second unit with other young guys like Eric Pascal, Juan Toscano-Anderson, and Kevon Looney. Well, that's going to cap it off for today's video. This was Second Take's opinion on why Wiggins was such a terrible player in the past majority of his years of his career, and how he can rejuvenate his career with the Warriors. Comment down below how you think Wiggins is going to fare with the Warriors and the new players like the Splash Bros and perhaps a lottery pick as well. In my opinion, I feel like Wiggins can improve, but also let us know if you like these player evaluation videos like we did with Lauri Markkanen before. And thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys next time, and peace.